Hey YouTube, it is the end of March and I am going to jump into pruning the roses here. I've been growing roses since 2001. Here we have about 75 of them to dive into and it looks like it's time. So let's get started and I will show you the basics of how I prune all of these roses every spring. So basic tools, start with coffee because it's still morning, tractor key because I'm going to be using the tractor to pull a trailer that I can throw all the junk into, but if you have a hand cart or a big wheelbarrow, use whatever you have. I've been known to use the back of the pickup if I need to. A good pair of gloves, and these are not my favorite. They're leather, they have a leather palm side, but this top side is soft. I really prefer to use solid leather, and in fact I'd rather use gauntlets or armor. I've been so cut up by my roses over the years. I grow some of the thorniest roses. Pruners, these are Felco 9s. Make sure they're sharp and clean. And these are new-ish, but they look like they've seen some wear. I have gone through many pairs of these and I lost a pair in the pond, but we're not going to talk about that. As far as what you're going to be wearing, besides wishing you had full armor, wear clothes that you don't care if they get ripped because you will get tangled in the roses. And if you have long hair, put it up. I mean, not in a braid and not in a cute messy bun. I mean up, out of the way. My hair used to be down even longer than it is now, like all the way down to my hips. And one time I was out with it, and it might have even been in a braid, and it swung around and got stuck in a bush, and I was like, this is how it ends. I hope someone finds me. I couldn't get it untangled. I thought I was gonna have to cut my hair off. So hair up, clothes that don't natter, because you're gonna get rips. I usually wear an old flannel shredded. I'm dressed up for you guys, but I usually wear an old flannel shirt that's just already shredded. So I'm gonna grab my pruners and let's take a look at what we need to start with here, and I'll kind of walk you through the basics of this. It doesn't need to be super complicated. I mean, there's a science to it, but don't make it harder than it needs to be. These have been growing for me for decades and they're fine with what I'm gonna show you. Let's go. So what I'm going to start with is this rose right here. This is my hot cocoa rose. It's a floribunda and it gets really pretty tall every year. I've seen this get as tall as that Eve when it's happy in the summer. So we are going to cut it down, but probably not as short as a lot of hybrid teas would go for pruning. And I do the same thing with my Austins. There are two of them right here against the wall. And I won't prune them quite as short as hybrid teas would get pruned, but we are going to clean those up next. So what I'm going to look for on this particular rose, it's starting to bud out now. You can see some nice, lovely new growth coming in. And you can also see a lot of cold damage because we're in the north and we had some very cold temps. So I'm going to I start with things that are dead or, in bad shape. So I'm going to take this whole cane out, down, probably really far down because I see it's dark all the way down. So we're going to start by cutting that out. We are going to remove things like this that are just obviously dead. They just break right off. So we're taking that out. We'll be taking this out because that's dead. This one, again, same thing. See how dark and black and gross that looks? So I'm going to take that out. We're going to take this out. Sorry for all the weeds. I haven't been out here since last year. We need mulch and we need weeding. But anything that's obviously dead, I start with. So, and as you can see that spot right there, I'm going to cut below that just because that's damage. And this one has a fairly vase-shaped growth habit already, so we don't need to do a lot of shaping. The next thing I'm going to look for is crossed canes, like these two. You can see that. So I'm going to be trimming those. When you take them out, what I watch for is these buds. See how the bud direction? They all kind of go different directions. What I'm going to do is we want to keep them budding and sprouting towards the outside of the plant. This one is facing out. I'm going to take both of these off because they're crossing and they're kind of funky. I'm going to take this one off right to there, and you want to cut at an angle so you're not leaving it open for rainwater and whatnot to get in there. So I'm going to cut that just above that bud. It's facing towards me and out from the plant. Cut that one off. And this one, I will probably cut it here because that bud's facing out, although these will eventually need to be dealt with because they're going to be more crossed canes. So I'm going to cut that one there, and we've kind of cleaned up that little crossed cane situation. This one, the same thing. I want to keep the center a little more open, so I'm going to take this one out down to right there where there is a bud there facing out. Same thing, we're just going to do that. And basically a rule of thumb that a lot of pruning experts will tell you is basically anything smaller than like the diameter of a pencil can go away. So basically from the, this size, you can trim all of that back down. But what I'm going to do with this is leave this, when I'm done, I want this whole rose to be in the range of this high. I leave this rose pretty tall. It'll be probably 2.5 feet tall when I'm done trimming it. And although it feels kind of sad to cut a cane this big, like this one, I am going to take this one down. There's a bud right there facing out. So I'm just going to take that one down to about right there and leave that in. So the rest of these, I'm going to kind of go for that height. And we're going to cut this one out because it's got so much dark, cold damage. I'm just going to go all the way down to where it's green, way down at the bottom, and just take that one. I'm just going to take that one out. This one is dead. And you can see, if you look down in there, I have daffodils that are invading right into this rose, which is a sad but true state. But there is some nice new red growth that I can see coming up from the base here. So we will have some basal breaks, which is what we look for, which is just new growth from all the way down at the bottom. And I'm going to take out these old dead canes. And we're going to take out this old dead cane. And I mean, some of these you can see they literally just break off. So I just kind of do whatever needs done with whatever tools you have. Same thing with this. This one's got a lot of black damage. I'm just going to take it off down here at the bottom. Ouch. Ooh, even with these gloves you can feel these thorns. This is hot cocoa is a particularly thorny rose too, which might not have been the best idea to plant right next to the back deck. Like if you fall off into this rose, that's probably how it's going to end for you. Here's another one that's completely black all the way down, so we're going to just go down and find the bottom of it and cut it at an angle and just get it out of there. This one's dead, so we're going to cut that one off. Remove those. And we do have a lot of cold damage down here at the bottom. So there's another one that's black. See how it's blackened all the way down? So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that dark stuff off and get rid of it. Get rid of that dead cane. And that, I mean, when they just snap off like that, you can tell. And I'm going to come around from behind here, if I can get back in here without getting hurt. And this one's been pruned a lot over the years, so it doesn't have a lot of stuff growing in the interior. But I am going to take this little one out that's kind of just growing into the middle. I'm going to take that out all the way down. And this smaller branch right here, I'm going to take off down to some lower buds. There's a whole handful of buds right here. I'm just going to do that. This one is facing out towards away from the center of the plant, so we're going to take that one. And this one's little. I'm just going to take it off entirely. I'm just watching for buds that are pointing the way I want. I'm going to take this one down to that outward facing bud right there and just cut above it at an angle. Take that one away. This one's got some cold damage right here, so we can go below that. And when you're in the cold climates, you're going to see a lot of this, and I just try and go down lower than that and try and get it. I don't want it too short. I want to have some shape left to this rose. This little one here is going crazy with growth, but it's really small. I'm just going to snip it right there, right above an outward facing bud right there. This little tiny sprout, I'm just going to take that out and just clean up some more of this little dead stuff down at the bottom. Okay, this bed is done. These are modern roses. This is all I do with them every spring. I will say, if you grow antique roses like we do, which are the once bloomers, which will bloom once in a big show at the end of May to the beginning of June, do not, I beg you, prune those in the spring, because you'll lose all of your blooms for the coming year. Those bloom once a year. That's probably a whole other video. I don't usually prune those very much. But if you wanted to prune a once blooming rose, you need to do it right after it blooms in probably summer, because you want to cut off what you want to take then and allow that rose to put on new growth through the rest of the season into fall before it goes dormant. And then what will bloom the following spring is the growth from last year. But if you cut it off now, anything like that, once blooming plants, if you cut off the growth in the spring, you've just eliminated all your flowers for the year. So you can see how simple this can be. I think we make roses too complicated. You're not gonna mess them up by cutting them. Cut them, you know, just look for crossed canes, take out anything that's dead, trim it down to a height that is pleasing to you, and kind of trim down at an angle down to outward facing buds, and you'll have it. It's not that hard. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.